Okay, call this meeting to order. And first item on the agenda is accentuate the positive.
Good afternoon or evening, board, and the rest of the administrators. My name is Shauna Schleif, principal here at Phoenix Elementary, and I'm just channeling. If any of you have ever watched Friends and you know Joey, I'm channeling my inner Joey right now. So field day, awesome. Graduation, both kinder and fifth grade, awesome. He would just say good, but I'm just going to say awesome instead. Our family sing night and garden party, awesome. Our end of the year celebrations, awesome. 2023 2000 school year in a nutshell. Just also wanted to give a shout out to Kelly Soder. Today we had our TWI retreat. We're spending the next 2 days, today and tomorrow, with all of our TWI teachers. Kind of a culmination of our year of study and just the energy in the room today. This is a quote from Christian C. Kairos. I'm ready to run through a brick wall. So I figure that's a great way to end the year. So thank you from PES. It's awesome.
Pivot.
Oh my gosh. Hi, everybody. Heather Lowe from Talent. I will not be Joey. I'm more like a Rachel right now. I'm kind of dingy feeling. So yeah, there was tons of great things to celebrate at the end of the year. Our normal traditions, you know, our grad walk, our field day, kinder promotion, fifth grade promotion. So just thanks to everybody on our team that made those very special for our families and our community. Also, I want to share that I'm really excited to share that our academic growth is looking really good, kind of trending upward. I think we're at about 7% increase of growth from last year, fall to spring. So I'm stoked about that. I want to keep going up. Also, our Jogathon was awesome, as you saw, I'm sure, the video. We raised just over $13,600. So we're really eager to spend that money on kids. We're looking forward to some enrichment opportunities. And I'm pretty terrified about what they're going to come up with next year. I talked to the first grade class the other day and they had some wild ideas. So hopefully that doesn't come to fruition. Also, I just want to say thanks to Dave and Brian McInnes for our second annual 4th and 5th grade track meet that was last week. It was super fun. Those kids were amazing. And then just share that we had a really good staff party, 2 parties on Tuesday. We had like a barbecue at school and then we had an off-campus party at Harvey's place. And it was just a really great way to celebrate and honor the work. So thanks to the Harveys for hosting us at Harvey's place.
Hello, Brandon Hammond. If you have Joey, Rachel, I'm the short, bald guy with glasses on Friends. Oh, wait, they are none. So, Orchard Hill, mine's really, really brief. I was thinking about what to say as this is my final school board meeting, maybe ever. I don't think I thank the families of the staff enough. I mean, education is such a crazy, crazy job. And my wife hears all about it all the time. And I'm sure all the spouses and all the kids. And it really is like, thank you to all the families of the staff for their patience and understanding, the long nights, everything that they deal with. Just kudos. That's it. Yeah.
Good evening. My name is Catherine Holden. I'm the principal of Talent Middle School. I feel like I'm kind of a Monica from way back, but I'll take that one for sure. And I just want to similarly, we've had a great last couple of weeks. It actually felt like our behaviors got better and better over the year. And in May felt really kind of the best May I've seen in a long time in any school that I've been at. So May is sometimes a squirrely time for kids, and our kids were just rolling through it. I was really proud of them. So we spent the last couple weeks wrapping it up. We had a number of fun activities as well. Our senior grad walk, it was fun to have the graduating seniors come through our halls. We had a talent show, a field day. Our 8th grade farewell ceremony went really well. The yearbook signing was really fun on Tuesday. And so, yeah, we just wanted to recognize all the fun and meaningful activities for students that required a lot of planning and organizing, and really kind of a heartfelt thank you to everyone who helped make those happen. All staff contributed. And then on Tuesday, we also had our end of the year staff celebration that our wellness team put together, a lunch that was really sweet. And we just connected with each other, had some great food, some fun entertainment. A couple of different staff members performed some acts. And also just recognize the staff that are moving on or leaving. And it was just very sweet to recognize their hard work this year and years beyond. And then a big thank you to Karen Emmons for all her work because she really organized that event, as well as Jackie Weber, who was she cooked all the food and made sure that we were well fed. So it felt like a really, really nice, smooth finish to the end. And I just want to thank all of you for your support this year as I come to the end of my first year. I recognize Brent in particular has been very, very supportive throughout the year as I've gotten to know this district and ask for what I needed and ask for support along the way. And it feels good to be at this place at this time.
I guess I'm Phoebe. I'll take it. It's fine. Kaylin Cross, proud principal of Phoenix High School. Just a couple of things for us. First, thank you for a very successful, awesome graduation ceremony last weekend. It is a joy to watch those kids, and I even get emotional. I only had them for 1 year, but just great kids and great staff and family support. It was an awesome event. And we're still totaling our numbers, but we're looking about 96% grad rate at the moment. Yeah, and we'll do some summer school stuff too, so that will be fun. I also wanted to shout out to our future planning center, a lot of our teachers who write recommendations, and our counselors, because last year we were able to give the graduating class of 2022 about $99,600 in scholarships. And this year our total, which everything is not in just yet, but we totaled $208,843 of scholarship funds. So that is phenomenal. Yeah, and then the last point is we did elect our new ASB officers. Brianna Gall, who was one of our school board reps, is the ASB president next year. And then May Woodward is our vice president. AJ Merlina is our secretary or is our treasurer. And I totally blanked on the name of our secretary, but she's awesome. Raina, but I can't remember her last name. Sorry. And that's all, but here's Dave.
All right. Thank you, Kaylin. Dave Earhart. Phoenix High School. How you doing? That's a Joey thing too, isn't it? So, okay. So on June 6th, the high school, as Heather pointed out, we hosted the track meet. We just had a great time with that. Again, big props to Brian, to all of our specialists at the elementary schools who prepped for it, all of the teachers who helped. Maria coordinated busing, and it really was a great day. So we just really want to make that a first Tuesday in June annual thing. And congratulations to the Mustangs of Talent, the team champions in the event. Well, again, a lot of fun. Summer workouts are underway in all of our sports: football, soccer, volleyball, basketball, cross country, wrestling, cheerleading, baseball, and softball are all working to get better. We'll start summer weight room hours next Monday. So we're looking forward to that for all student athletes. And this weekend, we are helping at the Rogue Music Fest. We've got about 70 volunteers lined up. We will run what's known as the Back 40 parking lot for 2 days, 40 acres on Gebhardt Road, that most of the employees of the event and some folks with passes will be at. So county's being super generous to us with their compensation, where our programs are going to make about $8,000 this weekend for helping out. So really another great day to be a part of. Thank you, guys.
Who's the guy from the coffee shop? What's his name? Oh, Chandler. Oh, yeah, I'll be Chandler. I'm standing in for Aaron. He couldn't be here tonight, but he did want to say something. He said sometimes it's the little things that make a big difference, and a big shout out to Denny Goodwin. She did a really great job with the PTRA handbook. So good that when Heather and I and Brandon saw it, we said, hey, could you help us out with our handbooks? So she has taken on the challenge of reformatting that and making it look really pretty. So thank you, Denny, for that. And then also last week, they celebrated the 8th grade recognition at Autocaster Park, which I just learned that park over there is named Autocaster Park, even though it's, I don't know why I didn't see it. So they had 11 out of their 15 8th graders participate in 8th grade graduation there. And then that was after they were spending the day on the Rogue River with the jet boat excursions, which everybody had a great time on that one. So that's the news from PTRA.
Thank you. We're calling this the board meeting, the one at Phoenix Elementary. So it's great. Anything from the board?
I have something.
Okay.
I would like to recognize Chris sitting over here. because I don't think we thank him enough for all he does and that he was everywhere and everywhere on graduation and every other time. I just want to say personally that I appreciate you being my daughter's neighbor and also all you do here. Thank you.
Anything else? I met Chris's fiance last night, and I said, sorry for commandeering your man twice a month on Thursday nights, and she's like, oh no, I love it. I get I get I get my board night burrito and watch whatever I want on TV. It's great. So but I just want to echo that. Thank you, Christopher, for everything you do to keep us sounding good, and I know it's a labor of love. So thank you. Anything else? All right, moving right along. Citizens' comments. Do we have anybody online? Nope. Okay. Anybody in the audience?
Yeah.
You are a citizen. Would you like to make a comment? Let's get you a microphone. Hang on one second. For all the folks online. They do watch us. They do watch it back.
But there's a section where people bring up. Is there a section where I've only been to one other board meeting where you bring up suggestions or questions? Is that what we're at now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Sorry,
Yep.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
I just said it. As the custodian, I was the custodian of high school, and now I'm the custodian here. The last thing we do at the end of the night is the lockup. And before I was a custodian, I was a security guard for about 12 years. So, I kind of lock a lot of doors. But I think that there's a possibility that we can do it better. I know this is kind of a funny thing, but a custodian is a custodian. A custodian can do security stuff, but he's not a security guard. I was a security guard. I know what a security guard does, any more than say like a plumber is not a pediatrician. 90% of my job as a custodian is trying to make sure that everything's clean. And then as an afterthought at the end of the night, when I'm tired, before I go home, I go around and make sure everything's locked up. But I've done it. I've missed things here and I missed things at the high school because God knows there are like 40 doors you have to check. And to me, that's a security issue. And that's really all I have to say. Just a different way to look at it. Maybe that would be give more than like at the high school, they gave us 20 minutes that I could barely get it done there. And here it only takes me about 10. But it's always like, I want to clock out at the right time and I don't want to, if there just some way that can be looked at and maybe tweaked or something. But I personally, because I'm a security guard and because my daughter goes here, plus all the kids I know, they're important to me. And it might not be that big of a deal, but making sure that the doors are locked. When I go home, I go, God, I didn't close the front door. Just that kind of thing. They could just kind of look at that, think about that.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate, and I saw Brent making some notes when you were speaking. So thank you. And by the way, thank you. I've had the pleasure of speaking with you I know this is your first year in the district, and just want to thank you for doing a great job. And yeah, we appreciate everything you do. So thank you. Awesome. Thanks so much. All right. And superintendent report, Mr. Barry.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Campbell. I just have a couple things. One thing is the company that provides our website service was bought out. And so we're going to have to migrate our website over. We still have some time, and Alan and Joe actually have been working on kind of a plan to really kind of migrate our information over. We're going to try to make it look as similar as possible, but that will be a change coming up, and we'll keep the board updated on that. Also want to just share with you, we're coming up on 4th of July. The band traditionally does a fireworks stand, a couple of them actually. And every once in a while, there's some citizens that may not think that's appropriate. That's a band booster. It's outside of the school district. So if you hear things on that, you can just point them in our direction. Even prior to the Alameda fire, we had some really inappropriate comments when people were driving by to kids, and so we just want you to be aware of that. We'll make sure we'll keep our kids as safe as possible from any unnecessary verbiage on their end. So next meeting too, that you will have a classified contract in front of you to vote on. They are just now finishing up their vote this week, and we'll get that out as soon as possible once that's done. So you have plenty of time for that July meeting. And I just want to wrap up my report with and talent with Catherine and Erica and Heather's leadership, along with city leadership. Safe routes to school planning has been in full force really the whole year, and it's they're getting prepared to make recommendations and have kind of a plan moving forward. Some of the recommendations we've already completed on our end, and the city's working to budget and complete some of it on their end as well. So we will probably have a draft plan next meeting to kind of look at for you guys as well. So that's really exciting, and really going to benefit our kids walking and biking and drop-offs and buses, the whole shebang when we do drop off and pick up at schools. That's all I had.
Thank you, Mr. Barry. Next is the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Thank you, Dawn and Sarah. Any objections? Hearing none, the consent agenda is approved. And we will move to action items. First is item G1, resolution 22-12, transfer of monies.
Yeah, we talked about this last time, just moving some money from support services to instruction for the last bit of claims coming in. And I will say, Yasmin and her team, it's amazing what they do in June to try to make sure we leverage all the funding we have, and how many grants we have coming in. If we can carry over 15% in our title funding, we're going to try to carry over as much as possible and move money to ESSER where appropriate. So she is crunching numbers and doing all that. We don't have a financial report tonight, or we won't have one in July, but we'll have a most updated end of year one, that meeting in August. So, but for this resolution, it's just making sure we're covered in the area of instruction.
Thank you. I have a motion.
I move to approve resolution 22-12 as presented.
I second that.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Polly. Any further discussion? Okay, we will vote. Rebecca?
Yes.
Polly?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Rick?
Yes.
Dawn?
Yes.
I vote yes. Motion is approved. And the next is item G2, JBB, District Equity Policy.
Yeah, we presented this time as essentially the only change was moving this section up to be bullet number 1, and that was the only change on that policy. And Kelly apologized, she couldn't be here. She had a child with an event tonight that she had.
Okay, I have a motion.
I have a question before we have the motion.
Sure.
I see that item number 6 got moved to item number 1, but but basically we have the same verbiage for item 1 and number 6, and I was just wondering if we could delete numbers.
If we could what?
Okay. No, that's okay. I just wanted to know, and I looked at it, but I've also been looking at a lot of documents, so I could I could be the one who's but I think number 6 and number 1 number 6 is repetitive of number 1.
We'll make sure that the hard copy I have doesn't say that, but we'll make sure that the correct one is approved.
Yeah. Thank you.
But thank you.
Somebody might have a cell phone right by their transponder that's causing some interference. I don't hear it now. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Oh yeah, this says 9/1/22 proposed. Are you able to find? Maybe you could bring it up real quick, Denise. Are you able? Right. Okay. For reference, it would be the one that was presented under information and discussion at the last meeting. That there weren't any edits to the policy itself, just the AR between tonight and the last meeting. So if you do go to, if you want to reference it while she's working on updating that, it's the one from June 1st. So do I have a motion?
I move to approve the recommended changes to the board policy JBB as presented.
I second that.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Polly. Discussion? Any discussion? Okay. Hearing none, we will take it to a vote. Rebecca?
Yes.
Polly?
Yes.
Nancy?
Yes.
Sarah?
No.
Rick? Don?
Yes.
I vote yes. And the policy is approved. The next is item G3, JBB AR, District Equity AR. Right?
Yes, from the proposed and the discussion last time, we changed some wording on that to describe in one allocating available resources was part of that discussion. And then using Rick's suggestion of reviews rather than audits. Audit has could have a different, but reviews. And then the bottom one was just the board will, the district staff will present the progress to the board annually. Those were the recommended changes that we got from last time on the proposal.
Great. Do I have a motion?
Move to adopt the AR as presented for policy JBB, district equity policy.
Thank you, Rick. I have a second.
I second that.
Thank you, Nancy. Rick and Nancy.
Discussion.
And discussion, yes.
Thank you for the reviews.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. Thank you.
I just also really want to say thank you to the team that put action to the equity policy. And so thank you to the team that did that and to the really great discussion last time and clarifying. Thank you.
I echo that as well, since I asked a lot of the questions, but I really appreciate the time that everyone gave me to get my questions answered. I do have another question. This bottom blue, would that be a number 8 or are we going to, is it just going to be separate?
I think of it as an extension to the introduction. So it's kind of a conclusion. It's like a last statement to the introduction where those are the 7 things. And then that last sentence just sort of encompasses any of those 7 things that are revolve around data or progress. It's kind of a general statement that says this will be presented to the board. So the board can, so that there's some teeth behind those things. So it could be a number 8, but that was sort of my take on it. That's helpful. Partly, I think it's because Kelly made that beautiful thing she handed out last time. As I was working with her, I kind of worked with the staff to make these changes, and didn't seem appropriate to add another number. Didn't seem like that honored the work that was done by the committee. So. Anything else? Ollie, did you have something or are you just getting ready to vote? Okay. Yeah, I'll just say yeah, I too appreciate, this I think moves us from something that was more symbolic in a policy to something actionable. And we had a lot of great discussion last week about sort of the broader long-term vision of how this district approaches equity, but I think this is a really, really good first step. So with that, we will take it to a vote. Rebecca,
Yes.
Holly,
Yes.
Nancy,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Don.
Yes.
I vote yes. The AR is approved. We're scheduled for a recess, but we're doing so great. Does anyone need a recess or we want to keep rolling?
You want to keep rolling and let admin go or?
You are welcome to go if you'd like. Thank you for all your hard work this year. We appreciate you. Brent needs you to stay. It's up to you, Brent.
Only for another couple hours. No, they did a great job this year. Appreciate this team and get out of here.
Have a great summer. Okay. Facilities and bond update, Brent.
Yeah, we have quite a bit. John is on vacation for 3 weeks, and so he has a well-deserved time off, which is great. And his team is just rocking and rolling and getting ready for the summer. And he has good leadership within his team, and they're continuing all the great work as we head into the summer. I don't know if we highlighted this, but I think we spoke about the $1 million grant for solar on Talent Middle School at some point, but we did receive that grant, and we are in the running for an additional grant for Talent Elementary as well. So we're set up pretty well there. I want to share a little bit about the Culver Road facility team meetings. We hired ZCS this year, approved that contract to have a master plan on what that Culver site would look like. And we've had some great meetings in your or on your computer. You have some comments from the neighbors that felt kind of validated and heard, which was great. And I think we've had 4 meetings with different groups. We have our Boys and Girls Club next week, but every one of them is pretty positive. And we know there's a lot of give and take and compromise that needs to happen when we're all competing for space. But it's really, really excited to see so many neighbors that are concerned about that facility and feel heard. And it's definitely been a good process. At our June or July board retreat work session, whatever we call it, I think we have to really have a discussion on how we see ODP serving our kids in the future and what this board wants to see out of that so we can continue to plan. By that time, we'll have some logistics that we will say, if this were to happen, this was how it impact operations at our school, in our school district. So I think the board is the timing's right for that because we're starting to plan that master plan. And July discussion would be good to have that. One thing that came out of the planning is John's, really good. I don't know if we mentioned this either. Trying to utilize all district space, and tennis courts were a possibility out at Culver, but we feel like if we can find a space on our high school campus, that'd be better. And our multi-purpose field, which is gigantic and used fairly often, but there's space to put 4 tennis courts there and be able to utilize that for band practice, for football practice, for soccer practice, for other multi-use. And so bringing tennis onto our campus, which would be great, and be able to have this community use it as well. So just appreciate just John's, continued thoughtfulness to maximize all of our resources and space. Next board meeting as well, you'll have proposal. We're getting our final proposals for the school-based health center at Phoenix High School. We're a partner with La Clinica and really trying to create a great health center space. We'll have, we don't have both proposals in yet. We got one contractor that sent one in yesterday, and we're waiting for another one. But we'll have that for approval for you at the next meeting. And then finally, we're always looking to improve the way and be efficient as much as possible. And John has worked with a company called FMX, which is a scheduling and event maintenance software, which should, the program we're using now has a few different steps. This one really integrates with our system a lot better, and it can do maintenance and event facilities all in the same space, and it triggers cleanup, locking doors, you know, that sort of thing as well. So we're going to be transitioning to that. Well, we actually already had. So we're on that system right now, and he did a great tutorial for our staff, and so people are utilizing that system. And that's all I have for the facilities report.
I have a couple questions. I attended the Culver meeting for the farm to school and the ODP group yesterday, I guess. Was it yesterday? Seems like it's 3 weeks ago or something. I have a couple questions because I'm wondering about there was several Little League fields that are included right now in the plan. I am curious about a few things came to mind. Is that does Little League contribute? I know Boys and Girls Club would be a contributor to build for their buildings and things like that. Does Little League fields, do they contribute to that? Or I don't know how that became. I know that they're losing their fields in talent, and then now we're talking about adding them possibly to this complex. So I don't know if you could speak to that.
Yeah, and that'll be another discussion for the board on that July, just this facility. And as far as contributing, yeah, we would expect them to be able to, you know, raise money, do the grants. Their lease is coming up in 2 years, or whatever agreement it is in 2025 with the city. And so that could be a possibility that we come up with some sort of leasing option. It will still continue to be our property. Boys and Girls Club is a little bit different because for them to do a building campaign, we might have to chunk off a piece for them to say that they can own, and that's what CSA is looking at right now. But that would have to be agreements that we continue to have. I think something to keep in mind too, that this could be 5, 7, 10 phases, just because of, you know, there's not a windfall of money out there. And so they'll break that up and to see what that might look like as well, and the available funding.
The other question I didn't know, and I've been here my whole life, and that bus, I guess that bus barn, I call it that, has been there, I think, since I was in elementary school. Sure. Do we own that property and then they lease it from us? I don't remember that from the budget committee meeting that money comes from them or something. How does that work exactly?
It's our property and they lease it from us. They do improvements on it, but it's still our property and our buildings and our and they lease that from us in their contract.
And a couple things that I would love to see in July meetings, maybe getting it teed up ahead of time, would be like how many folks, there was talk about how ODP students will leave the district to go to someplace such as Valley School after 6th grade because they don't want the middle school as an option for their students, the Talent Middle School as an option. I'm wondering how many folks are we losing to that? How many students are we losing? Maybe over the last 5 years. I don't know if we can see that data, who don't continue. I'm just seeing the viability of us offering K through 8 at ODP, and then maybe that would help us in capturing more students that we could add to our whole, you know, that bring us money in the district. So.
Yeah, and we have, and the way ODP is now, it's 9 students per grade level. So small. Yeah. So sometimes when you hear things like, oh, over half my students are going to be going to other districts. Might be 4 or 5 students choosing online school or trying to get a transfer or using a different charter. But we certainly can try to get that data. We did have an ODP type 6 through 8 program when we had Dan Akita here.
Yeah.
And so that it might be a little skewed the last couple years.
Mhm.
But that's the desire, I think, of ODP families.
Mhm.
And that's the discussion I think we need to have as a board on what that may look like.
And with increased enrollment there, that might add up to more people as well. So
Yeah, in space, and there's even talk about if we do house PTRA out there, just it's a K-8 school already. Could we have it under that umbrella somehow? That has an administrator already, an office staff, the staff person. So really kind of looking at how we can leverage all our resources.
okay, that's it for me. I was just really curious, and I didn't think it was my space to ask those questions during that meeting. I'd rather ask them here. So
Thank you, Polly. Any other questions for Brent?
Oh, just thank you for, I'm glad you brought up the ODP conversation because, I was hoping we would do that. So I appreciate that. And then just another kudos to John that, applied for applying next week for $100,000 grant for the tennis court option. So just still continuing to give kudos to him for all the money he finds for us.
I know a PE teacher is super excited about the idea of having tennis courts on the high school campus, I'm sure. Okay. Anything else? Okay. Financial update. We don't have one, right? Okay. Moving on. I3 legislative OSB update. Don't have anything there either. Next. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead, Don.
Oh my goodness. So I'm just gonna, and Sarah can back me up. I'm just gonna capture the last 2 days of legislation just to save you. So the Senate is on its way back to negotiate. I got a text from actually a phone call on Monday from Representative McIntyre. So when they come back, there's a lot of negotiating of we'll pass this bill, we'll pass this bill, we won't, we'll do, we'll gotten stuff. So 819 was in the negotiations, which is the special ed abbreviated days. Thank you. I was going to say shortened days, but abbreviated days. As soon as that came out that they were going to have that in the negotiations, COSA, OSBA, teachers union, certified classified unions all kind of got together at like really quickly and came up with some new language. I personally haven't read it, but I think they have posted it. And so that looks like that's going to pretty much pass. In part of, they're still negotiating things. The Menstruation Dignity Act, I got a hint that's going to the state. They're going to have a meeting, and they had a thing yesterday. I'm sorry, I'm super tired. They had a meeting yesterday. I haven't watched it, but they're going to take public comments on having the Menstrual Dignity Act part of Division 22 standards. And so then this public can say if they would like it as Division 22 standards. We can have a discussion about that. I feel like there's too many standards already, but anyways, and then there was one more thing I was going to say and I forgot. Then the early literacy bill has changed really quick, and everybody was like, yeah, we're going to pass it. And now they want to take the money right off the top of SIA monies to pass it. So that was supposed to be protected. That wasn't supposed to be taken away. And so now that may not pass because of the funding source, not because of what is going on. I don't know if that one's in negotiations or not. And then Representative McIntyre texted me today too, and I can't remember. There is some wording changes coming up, but I will keep you updated on what policies those happen on. But if you want to know, I can check my phone after the meeting. I think OSBA is having their annual meeting on Saturday. I will not be able to attend. It's virtual, but I will be at SOU graduation. It should be short. In that meeting, it's like 4 hours long. In that meeting, we will vote for a new secretary treasurer, because the secretary treasurer that we voted for the first of the year did not win his election, so he is no longer an OSBA officer. And then the exciting news is we will vote, hopefully pass, that the rural school caucus will then pass OSBA, which means it will go to a vote for the district. And then there's a whole bunch. We got summer conference coming up. I've got PACE conference coming up. There's a whole bunch of stuff coming up, so should be exciting. Did I miss anything, Sarah?
Any news on state school fund? Has that been passed yet? I think the senators are back today, is what I heard.
Well,
but-
I don't think it's going to be passed. They have to stuff the bills that they agreed to pass. So they've got to pass the bills, then they've got to do the budget.
Okay.
So I think right now it's like negotiating what bills are going to pass, what the language is going to be. There's a whole bunch of like really quick stuff. And then the state school fund will be probably the last. I'm pretty sure it's going to be 10.2.
Okay.
And there's some other funding things that they're doing as well. So I'll keep you in the loop. And I think I got text about it. I can tell you later. I just can't remember. I'm sorry.
Okay. Thank you. Did you have something there?
Yeah, it's nerve wracking, because when you're trying to do legislation that impacts kids, our society, all that sort of stuff, it's a challenge to, not really follow the true process of how bills get passed and then implemented. One of the deals that I read today was the walkout by the senators. The Democrats did not want to give up the if you walk out that you're not eligible for re-election. That's what they want. The Republicans did not want that in, and that they did not give that up. So those 10 senators will not be up for re-election, not qualify for re-election, which is an interesting hold. So
that'll probably go to the courts, I'm guessing.
Probably.
Yeah. Fun times. The legislative circus. Okay. I just want to say our representatives who represent us in our school district have been amazing and communicative, and we really appreciate. And then, of course, Representative McIntyre, I know, is a great friend to the district, and appreciate her too. But as a whole, it's a bit of a circus. So hopefully they can get some things figured out here. Excellent. Anything on community recovery? Okay. Did you have something, Brent? Okay. We'll move on to item I5, the PES roofing contract.
Yeah, we've talked about this a little bit. We finally have a solid estimate on what this might be. This is ESSER funding that qualifies for ESSER funding. So the board will be acting on this next time, and this will be able to get done this summer. That'll complete this whole school too. It'll be all done.
Excellent.
And then Talent Elementary, when we do the seismic and everything, it'll be included in that bid next summer.
Did I hear you say ESSER funds? We can use ESSER funds. We don't have to use bond funds for this. We can use ESSER.
Yeah, we can use ESSER because it qualifies for air quality and insulation and things of that nature. So.
Excellent.
Any other questions on? You good down there? Okay. Yeah, I see that. It's like I'm not a teacher. I don't have any classroom management skills. Okay. Next item is I6. I could do the clap thing. Clap once, clap twice. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Uh, Annual agenda items. Those are the uh for the 23-24 school year. Brent, did you want to speak on this?
Just, this has been a guide. We've done this for the last several years, and as Denise kind of makes and prepares for agenda items, she goes through this, and we've modified them a little bit here and there to make sure the timing's right. We did call out in that job meeting to where by the board policy you just passed to make sure we had an equity report at that time too. So it, other than that, it's fairly similar.
And to that point, I would say there might be things that in November we don't have enough information to share, and so the way I read that is at least annually, but if there's more information to be shared with the board later on, as appropriate, I think that we'll build that in to support that important work. So.
And this doesn't need an action. This is just kind of a guide, and so and it's easily modified. So
yeah,
it's a good point.
Okay. Any questions on it though?
I have one.
Go ahead.
And excuse my brain tonight. On March, we have Approve a Grad Night as a school function, and I thought we stopped doing that for some reason, like a couple years ago, and I don't remember approving it the last couple years, but I could be wrong, because the reason we approved it for a school function was because of insurance purposes. But since the since the auction hasn't been on facilities and the grad night is actually covered with insurance under the Family Fun Center, I thought that we had decided not to do it, but I'm confused, so I'm just clarifying.
I think you're right. I don't think we did it this year. The Family Fun Center has their own deal.
Well, if they don't go to Family Fun Center, I mean, I guess my question is how much. I know in the past people have came up and said we want to do this for grad night, like example Disneyland, and I don't know how much the board. I mean, I guess I'm confused on what the board can and cannot say and do. With, I guess, like maybe that's something we can talk about in July of what we have control over. But to me, I mean, I would imagine they're going to continue, but rumor is maybe they won't continue it and maybe not have.
And
grad night.
I think we've been moving towards trying to stay away from that liability as a district, and our insurance premiums are going up tremendously anyway. So yeah, that's we can modify that for sure.
I have a question. Is there a process for from the class that just graduated and they were really successful? Congratulations to all of them and the parents who put all of this together. But is there like a formal process that there is a way for that information and some of those guiding principles and discussions to be passed on to the next class? I just remember one year, they didn't have that, and I just felt so bad for that class because everybody was kind of really disoriented. I know that there was like a certain percentage of funding that needed to carry over to the next year's graduating class, but other than that, is there anything else just to be in support of the up and coming graduating class so people are not having to like reinvent the wheels? Because there are some years that people have so much experience and knowledge and are doing really, really well, and then other years, maybe they don't have as many resources or individuals. And I'm just wondering what's in place.
I don't know if it's under our purview, but it's a good idea. Go ahead.
Since I've been involved in the last 3 grad nights, this last one I wasn't as involved. But weirdly enough, this group of parents that were all friends kind of made a pact that we would do until this year. So some people didn't have kids last year and helped, and then I didn't have kids this year, so I helped. There's a folder that goes from group to group, and it talks about what you did, who gave money, who you invited to the auction. And then usually at the beginning of the year, if a parent doesn't step up, like sometimes they'll do it like I'll do next year or whatever. Then Dave and Anna Redding and a parent from the previous year will come in, talk to the parents, get them set up, and maybe do 1 or 2 meetings depending on what the parents need. The problem is sometimes, and you guys have kids, you've seen the fluctuation with different classes. Like Aiden's class always had a great parent turnout for everything. Like the teachers would be like, quit bringing so much food to the class. And Keenan's was like, I was always taking the teacher at Aiden's class was like, take that to Keenan's class because they only have 2 dishes and we have 45 dishes of food at the Christmas party. So I think it kind of fluctuates on what parents are active. I know Dave and Anna and other parents try to get them involved and try to give them, but like sometimes they struggle or sometimes it's, yeah, I think it's kind of, there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle and sometimes they're like, oh, I don't need help. And then all of a sudden they do need help and they are given and they get a little bit of money, but not much. And they are given like these people have donated the last couple years. This is what we've gotten. And then, sometimes I don't know. Sometimes if they don't reach out to those people or whatever. So yeah, I don't really know the answer, but I do know that it is given and that the parents do help to kind of get them the first couple meetings off their feet and then how that works. And they give like, this is the food trucks we use at grad night. These are the this is where we have the auction and all that information. It's all like in a folder and passed on to the next year. Does that answer your question?
Kind of. That's actually why I have this question, because there can be kind of a wide variance between year to year, right? And I was just thinking if there was a way, and again, I'm not trying to impose oversight. I'm just trying to think, how can we be more supportive to the up and coming graduating class because of the exact reason that you just mentioned? How can we have more continuity so there is like a smoother, strong support for that graduating class versus like, it's kind of, what is that? There's some years, yeah, that fluctuation that just might feel like a lot. And then because I'm thinking, the people who feel the most impact is kind of the students, right? It feels weird, like last year they had this amazing turnout and what a wonderful event. And then, some other years it's like, oh, it's kind of really bare bones.
It really depends on parent involvement. I mean, that's really, and I know there is some concern about who's stepping up for the current junior class. I know that's been something I've heard, but it's difficult because the board isn't really officially involved but that's really, it's the parents that make it come together. So yeah, that's a good point when you think about equity. Right?
And it kind of comes to like, I guess my mom used to say, you can lead a horse to water, you can give them all the tools. We've talked, I know different parents have talked like, hey, do you want to do next year? And the parents like, oh, I'm too busy. And so I think it's just like a challenge of how to get the parents involved. And I even talked to some parents, do you have a senior next year? Blah, blah, blah. We donate. Don't forget us. And they're like, well, I'm not going to be involved. So hopefully someone will call you. So it's kind of like, I don't know if you have any suggestions on how to get parents to be involved, but I do know that the group that in the past will try to give as much information as they can.
And maybe me posing this question is more of a suggestion. What can we do to better support the up and coming classes reps so there is more of that continuity and there isn't such a big fluctuation of involvements, right? And I fully hear what you're all saying. This is parent-led. I get that there is support, and I'm just wondering what other options or what's feasible maybe from the high school to just ensure that there is that support for parents to be guided through this process. And I do hear that there's Anna Redding, but it sounds like maybe it's not as structured, and I'm not advocating for highly structured. I'm just trying to think what would be a more supportive process.
So the year they had Keenan, it kind of felt like it was going to drop off. And so that was the year that Dave came to the beginning, and he set a schedule and kind of started helping emails, and Anna would come and kind of set things up. And so there was more support, but it depends on, like, some of the parents are like, I don't want your help. So, I think that staff does as much as they can, and it depends on the parents, but they can't. Yeah, I think that's a question of what the staff can do to support. I think that's a good question. And you're right, it does depend on it does fluctuate. And sometimes, somebody knows somebody, and so they get really good donations and someone else doesn't. So it is a challenge, and yeah, it does fluctuate. This year's class was now the biggest class in funding. So they had $36,000 they gave away on grad night. So yeah, I mean, it was like the biggest that they've had ever. So my son was a little sad because his was the biggest at one time. But I hopefully it grows, and the kid and the parents, want. And I think they're making that book better so that it can continue to grow. And when you have that many donations, then you can and I think it's helping having the auctions off site, I think is really, really helping versus having them here at the school.
Okay. Next is, where are we? I-7. So the next three really are about the July 6th organizing meeting. Rick, I'll just dive in and say Rick came to me at the beginning of the meeting and let me know that he has a conflict that evening. But perhaps rather than explore moving the date, perhaps we could explore moving the time of the day. What if we did it at 10 a.m. instead of the evening? It's Thursday, July 6th. Okay.
That'd be great for me.
Okay. So not an option. Okay.
How about 2 o'clock?
Okay.
Yeah, I do have a conflict, and I hope we can move it to the following week, Tuesday or Wednesday. But if it doesn't get it, that's it. But
I think I brought this up before. My only concern is when we move it back, then I don't know how that works with having 3 people not sworn in. So if some emergency happens in my brain, because when I was board chair, there was emergency after emergency, so my brain is in emergency mode. So if something happened where we needed to make a decision, there would be 3, we'd only be a board of 4, so you'd have to all be quorum, and there would be no vice chair. So I think it would be okay. I just, maybe you should ask OSBA before the day it happens. I don't know. That I'm fine with moving it. I just would feel comfortable if maybe you told OSBA, hey,
Would not on the 6th, even if Rick wasn't there, wouldn't you still, the 2 of you be sworn in, and potentially elections could still happen? So we would just be a board of 6 until.
She's talking about if we wait until the following week to have the meeting.
Oh,
If
I
something
understand.
came up, we
I
would have 3 board members who
haven't been officially sworn in for their new term.
And I really don't think anything is gonna happen. I just kind of feel like I need to say that. And I do think it's important for the whole board to be there to be sworn in together and to vote for the chair and vice chair. I think that's very important to have a full board to do that. I just wanted to bring up those comments. I'm in support of moving it to the next
Holly
week.
suggested the 29th of June. I'm available on the 29th of
You have to wait until July 1st. Things gonna happen. I just wanted to. Notice it. I just felt like I needed to say it on record so that we wouldn't go, oh my gosh, why didn't anyone say anything? I think it will be fine. I'm comfortable doing it, moving it back.
Brent, what does that 11th or 12th look like for you? Do you have any comments on the continuity question or concern?
Yeah, the 12th would be better, which is a Wednesday. I just get a little nervous about what if something happens then and we don't have a quorum and things of that nature, then we're pushing it back farther. And I understand that we really like everybody at the July meeting. We have sworn in people in August.
Yep,
many
we
times.
swore in Nancy in August at the big old meeting at the high school.
The biggest crowd yet. It was Rick's
She
birthday
got a big
too.
cheer too. Yeah. Yeah. In August. Oh, we have
Oh, the
another meeting?
retreat date.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we can do it then. We can square Rick in then. I think I'd love to be accommodating, but with this particular meeting, Rick, I get kind of nervous about it too.
And on the other hand, I like it when the whole entire board's there to vote for board chair. That's just my opinion. So I think that's, you know what I mean? Like catch-22, yeah, something could happen, but I also think it's very important to have everybody's input for board chair and, the option to be board chair, because sometimes if you're not there, you might want to be board chair, all that kind of stuff. I think it's important on this meeting to have everyone there.
Is there a way that Rick could vote on that? Like over the phone? Yeah,
I don't think.
unless it's just.
The 6th is a virtual meeting, right? So you could sign in and we,
We're meeting in person though, correct?
right, but
Yeah.
we still have a virtual sign in. So,
I think the conflict would preclude him from being able to join virtually.
okay.
I don't know. We've not had everyone, I feel like each of the last several organizing meetings, so I
But I
understand the
was
concern.
remembering
but-
too. I feel like there's all certain times where we can't make meetings for different reasons and it gets really challenging, which is why we look at the board calendar and approve that because there's notices that have to happen and things that have to happen. So just based on trying to get 10 people
Mhm.
all in the same, so.
So where does that leave us?
And did I hear moving it an hour earlier didn't work or 2 hours earlier didn't work?
The earliest I could do is 3:30.
What if we did that, Rick? Nancy and Polly? Yeah, we have done it before. And I mean, I would like to, everyone to be able to participate too, but it does get into that. Well, Sarah, does 12th work for you?
I'd rather not move it.
Okay. I think there's this is tough. It's kind of precedent setting, right? If we move it respectfully, move it for one person and doesn't work for another person, then we're sort of just creating the same issue. So I think we're gonna have to keep it. I'm sorry, Rick, and then we'll just have to swear you in on the 16th. Because if we or the 20th, okay. Yeah. Okay, because it doesn't work for Sarah. And I may have a conflict that next week too. I have a lot going on with work stuff too. I think if it was unanimous and it could work for everybody, I don't think it would be a problem, but okay. I'm sorry. Right. Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
What if you moved it the day before, on the Wednesday before? The 5th. That's the day after 4th of July. I see why. I answered my own.
And I think Michael had asked originally to move this date a couple of weeks ago, and we all just determined that the 6th was kind of where we needed to land because we have board meeting dates that we set a year-long calendar.
I actually canceled the vacation so that I could be here for the 6th. So yes, please. I don't know. I was gonna, by the way, I think we need to add the swearing in to the agenda. That's a good question. We could look into that. Sure, sure. This isn't Rick's first rodeo. What time do you have to be at the venue? Oh, okay. Yeah, I'd really like to accommodate it, but it sounds like if we move it, causes an issue for others. Just run into the same problem. It sounds like we could do like 4 o'clock. But
No, I know, but I'm just saying if you could show up a little bit later. Okay. But I think Nancy, you had a conflict, right, at 2 or? You could do 2 o'clock. You do 2 o'clock? Gotta move some sprinklers.
But 2 o'clock is the hardest time of the day.
You have to feed Ziggy.
2 o'clock, I'm inside. That is by 6. Yeah, I have 2 o'clock.
Would you do 2 o'clock, Rick? Does that work for you all? You do 2 o'clock? Okay, let's do it at 2 o'clock on the 6th. Yay, good problem solving, guys. All right. Rick's making a run at board chair. That's why he wants to. I was kidding. Rick, I vote for you. Okay. And the draft agenda is there for your review. I think we mentioned we'll be adding swearing in of our re-elected board members to the agenda. Did you have something else, Brent?
No, these agenda items and the resolutions, sometimes that July meeting, we get all this paperwork and it's like, oh my gosh, what do we need to do? So it was suggested last time if we put them in an information discussion. And this is the first time we've done that in June. So thank you for that suggestion.
Yes, very good. Yeah, it's great. Okay, that's it. We are adjourned.